Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Staying Sweet, the podcast. I hope you're all having a wonderful week and a wonderful start to your Monday, because this is a Monday podcast. It's been a minute since I've recorded. As per, we know I like to bulk record these episodes, so I tend to just kind of flow and ease in and get myself used to recording. I actually have been really enjoying recording these podcast episodes since they've dropped and aired. I feel like it's made such a difference in seeing the live reaction whilst I'm also curating the content like behind the scenes. I feel like it's been a really nice way to kind of backlog the content, but also just put out stuff that I know you guys are going to be, enjoying and listening to, and just seeing everything from behind the scenes. So in the actual interface of podcasting, I find it so fascinating to see who my listeners are, where you're coming from, how you found the podcast. I'm also loving the fact that you guys are watching me on YouTube. That makes me so happy. It makes me really happy, and I wanted to create and kind of discuss this episode with you because I feel like there are points in my life where I haven't done the thing, and the thing is being and holding yourself accountable for stuff. So this can kind of span across everything and anything, and it's very easy to kind of lose sight of where you need to go, of your path, of the goals that you set for yourself, or the action that you need to take. Or maybe it's something that you just kind of put on the back burner for the longest time, and it kind of eats away at you a little bit until it gets done. So holding yourself accountable really is the only way that you can put yourself first. And I don't know, I find accountability, it kind of goes hand in hand with resistance, and it's usually where you need to take accountability is where things are a little bit more tricky. And I will be the first person to admit that there have been some things in my life that I've found that resistance with, or that I've really found it hard to keep going or persevere. And I feel like accountability has kind of been the consequence of that, and just getting the stuff done. So I feel like I'm talking in code for some bizarre reason in today's episode. I'm not, I promise. It's just such a broad thing to kind of chat about and discuss. So I really wanted to do this episode because I feel like there are people out there listening today who want to reach their goals, or want to get to a point where they are seeing growth in themselves or in their career journey or their business, and they're just not quite getting there. And I feel like accountability is where you're going to see that growth. So with anything that is sort of at the forefront of your focus right now, so anything that's kind of triggering you, I'm talking about being accountable, holding yourself accountable. What is coming to mind? Is it a relationship? Is it a work dynamic? Is it the fact that you would really love to go for a promotion and it's not been something that's kind of been on the cards for you? Think about why that's coming up and use it. Use it to your advantage. So knowing your why can really help hold yourself accountable. And I know when I've gone through periods of just not knowing who I am and my identity, I found it very hard to hold myself accountable, because it's I don't actually know where this is going or what I'm doing. I feel like there are a lot of moments where I've had that feeling. So when we check in on ourselves and we regularly ask ourselves those questions, I feel like it's easier to just deal with it than neglect it. So I think it's really important that you consider when you will hold yourself accountable and make it part of your routine. So for me, I like to schedule a bit of an admin day or a Sunday to just my goals and goal setting. So towards the end of the month, I will start thinking about what goals I'm setting for the month ahead. I'll kind of reflect. I'll think about what's gone well, where I might be kind of not hitting my targets. I have a goals and monthly goals template, which I will link below for you guys to use and download. But it essentially is my framework for identifying if I've hit those 3 goals. And it doesn't have to be these massive, huge, unattainable things. It can be really small, like broken down goals that actually, when you look back at your year, you've done lots of little things to get you closer and closer towards your goal. And I found it so beneficial to do that. So for me, it's like an end of the month thing and the start of the month thing that I like to consider. So with a lot of things, you will find yourself operating from a place of accountability and discipline versus like actually wanting to do something or actually feeling ready to do something. So one of my favorite quotes is, nothing changes if nothing changes. And it's so important that you give yourself that permission to change and you make that conscious effort to show up. I find that when you persist through that awkward stage of accountability, it actually really helps you move forward and progress. And I've noticed it in lots of parts of my career journey, in my personal brand journey, in my fitness journey. There are so many points when actually I'm not where I am because I want to be there necessarily. Like, I might really not fancy doing a day of events or going into London or driving myself into London. But actually, when I hold myself accountable, the future version of myself is really proud of myself for showing up for that future version and giving myself that permission to kind of step into that version that I want to be. So in sort of fitness terms, there have been many a time when I've not wanted to get out and head to the gym because it's been raining or it's been late and I've got home late and I've decided, oh, do you know what? I really don't fancy doing this. But getting myself out there, putting my gym gear on and holding myself accountable, I've gone to the gym. It may not have been like my best session, but I've still held myself to account. And that's when I've proved to myself that it's not always about motivation and about wanting to do something. It's about actually the desire of holding yourself accountable. Accountability also focuses on this feeling of in the now versus like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it on Monday. I'll think about it next year. A lot of us put these kind of timelines on our version of accountability and our correct time to hold ourselves accountable. And actually what that does is procrastinate ourselves. And I think when you make those important decisions, those decisions to go self-employed or quit your job or find something else or ask for that promotion, you are only doing yourself a disservice if you kind of pause and dwell and kind of think about, oh, when might be the right time to do this or make this decision. Holding yourself accountable is when you decide to go for it, and it's that action taking that is going to stand you in good stead. You know, for somebody who wants to strategize a way to hold yourself accountable, it's about the habits of checking in. It's about the routine of regularly checking in on yourself and weighing up, okay, is this the bigger picture? Is this the life I want? Is this the path I want to go down? And it can be harder to look at the bigger picture sometimes because it can be very daunting, but it can be also incredibly motivating. And when you see how far away you are from a goal or a decision or a promotion or a business step and venture, you know, you need to think about the small steps that are going to lead up to that moment and that will get you there. And in holding yourself accountable, that's where consistency kind of marries up with action and you push through, you persevere and you make it happen. So how can you hold yourself accountable today? I'm actually, I'll be honest, finding this episode so not like triggering, but like I feel like there's things in my head right now I'm thinking about. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do this after this recording. I need to do this after this recording. And it's all coming to my head now. So I feel like in sharing this episode, I really hope that you kind of see how everyone is experiencing that weird niggly feeling of, I really need to sort that out, or I really need to make that happen for myself. So look at what you want for yourself as the bigger picture, as the immediate future. Who is that version of yourself? Create a schedule that is going to be achievable and attainable, but does not limit you. So for me, that monthly check-in is really great. With my fitness coach, for example, I have a weekly check-in. I weigh myself, I take my measurements, and I send my pictures, and I say what went well and what didn't go well for that week. And reflecting on that week has actually made me realize like how much I need to think about the choices I make and the decisions I make for the future version of myself. And sometimes that can be really difficult. So in case of my fitness, having a fitness coach is like having a mentor, having a business mentor, or somebody that can hold you accountable. Now, I'm not saying you need to go get a fitness coach or find a business mentor. You can find a friend, find someone in your circle or someone that you really can confide in who would be a really suitable fit for you, who can, push you towards your goal, but also be someone that's kind of a third party and kind of watching you from an outsider's point of view, someone that's not going to wade in too much, because it needs to be action that you take yourself. So I think mentors in themselves, I think particularly in business, are considered quite a privilege and quite a hard thing to find, especially when you're young or you're starting out in your career. But I think there are mentors all around you. If you're somebody who's at university, consider maybe befriending some of your lecturers or working out, okay, who might they know that might help me and connect me to where I want to go in my career. If you're somebody who is sort of navigating the workplace, think about someone higher up to you who might be able to mentor you. I think another beautiful place where you can find a mentor or someone to hold you accountable or kind of get yourself in that circle is social media. Use social media to your advantage and find those individuals in the next phase of your life who are going to support you and help you really on your journey. So for me, when I was doing my content creation, I ended up networking with lots of local creators around near me, and we'd go and shoot together. We would go and, take a suitcase of outfits, take loads of pictures, take loads of video. And then we go and reward ourselves with a coffee shop date or lunch. And that was a real way for us both to hold each other accountable. It was a really nice way to make a friend. And I think there's so many things that you can do when you're holding yourself accountable. And, having a mentor, having someone that's kind of on the journey with you is a really good thing. I think also like learning to ask for feedback. So when you go for an interview, making sure that you follow up and ask for that feedback. Maybe it's a pitch that you've done or you've reached out to someone, even on social media, and, it's not for them or it's not a suitable fit. Just ask, what could I be doing to be a better fit for you or be a better fit for this position? Recognizing when to kind of ask those questions and recognizing when you're not putting in your all are two very important things. And do you know what? There'll be points in your life when you think, I really could have tried harder with that, or I really need to admit that I wasn't doing X, Y, and Z. And so going forwards, I'm going to put this plan in motion to see the results. So my final thing really with accountability is, yes, have that discipline, but don't be hard on yourself, and also reward yourself. Reward yourself for the work that you're putting in, the discipline that you're putting in. So one of my goals, which I wrote down on here, and I'm recording this now, and I've basically exceeded this goal and this target, and I completely did not realize that I did exactly what I said I wanted to do. So I said, as soon as I can run 12k without stopping, I will buy myself some new trainers to run in. And it's so funny because the first time I did that, I hit my 12k with no stops or breaks. I went and bought trainers. So it was like a subconscious reward. And I think it's such a good thing for you to have like those little goalposts that are going to push you to the next goal, because you can lose momentum, and it's normal to lose momentum and motivation in things that you do, in the career you're on, in the things that you have and take interest in. There's going to be points where things are a bit quiet or things are a bit dead. Like, it's fine. You'll lack that motivation, but when discipline comes in and accountability comes in, you can show up for yourself. So this is just a little short pep talky episode. I'm actually like even struggling to get my words out today. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm here, I'm showing up, and I'm recording the episode. So that's me holding myself accountable. Please let me know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, and please just do feel free to DM me if you want to chat further about holding yourself accountable. Let's open up the conversation over on Instagram, which is at Staying Sweet Podcast. Please do join the community over there. I've also got the membership over on Facebook, which is a small private group for anybody who is wanting to ask, again, more personal or in-depth questions about the industry or the industry that they're in. If they're in education, please feel free. This is an open, safe space. It is obviously a private space, but it's a community space for you to basically just ask all the necessary questions to hold yourself accountable, feel like you're on the right path, and, you know, find that community of individuals who are aligning with you. I'm absolutely loving where this podcast is going, and I think in having the video, in having the studio, I'm holding myself accountable in a different way. I'm no longer recording like the day of or the day before. I'm actually getting myself organized and I'm showing up, and I'm very proud of myself for that. So yeah, that's me holding myself accountable this week. Have a fabulous one, whatever you are up to. Think about your goals and think about how you might be able to hold yourself accountable for the week going ahead. As always, guys, leave a rating review because that really helps me. And have a fabulous week, guys. Stay sweet.